From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Andrea Lorian. It's Tuesday, May 6th, and here are today's headlines. Many of Vermont's federally qualified health centers face dire financial straits. Some could face insolvency if Congress cuts Medicaid funding later this month, as part of ongoing efforts to reduce the federal budget. Federally qualified health centers accept any patient, regardless of their ability to pay. They treat about a third of Vermonters. Jeff McKee is the CEO of Community Health Centers in Chittenden and Grand Isle counties. Monday on Vermont Edition, he estimated their operating deficit at about $2.4 million.
We desperately need a new electronic medical record, one that talks to the hospital better than ours currently does. We have facilities in increasingly desperate need of repair. All of that gets put off because we don't have the financial reserves. Yeah, we're just not sure how we're going to survive that.
McKee said he's optimistic that state lawmakers will increase funding for health centers in the upcoming state budget. Vermont State Police say an investigation into a May 2024 murder-suicide in South Hero is officially closed. Law enforcement say that 35-year-old Andrew LaLumiere was shot and killed by his uncle, John LaLumiere. A motive was never disclosed. The men lived in separate houses on the same property where the shooting took place. The Grand Isle State's Attorney's Office recently finished reviewing the incident and determined no further action was warranted. The town of Stowe is welcoming a new police chief this week. Brooke Osteen spent 13 years with the United States Park Police in Washington, D.C., holding several roles, including sergeant. And after moving to Vermont in 2015, Osteen worked for the University of Vermont Police Services, Stowe Police Department, and Stowe Emergency Medical Services. Osteen was sworn in as chief Monday morning. And yesterday, bait packets filled with liquid rabies vaccines for wildlife fell from the sky across northern Vermont. It's an effort by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to limit the spread of the disease after a rise in rabies cases in raccoons and skunks in Chittenden, Caledonia, and Franklin counties. The program drops hundreds of thousands of doses, surrounded by a brown, sticky, sweet-smelling coating from low-flying airplanes and helicopters. The state says the vaccine bait packs are not poisonous or harmful to pets, people, or wildlife. Coming up, Harry Bliss, a longtime New Yorker cartoonist and New England resident, has a new graphic memoir. We'll hear about it after this. Longtime New Yorker cartoonist and Cornish, New Hampshire resident Harry Bliss has a new graphic memoir out now. In You Can Never Die, he shares intimate stories of his upbringing in life and memories of his beloved dog, who often appears in his cartoons. Bliss joined Vermont Edition host Michaela Lafrac last week to discuss the new book. We're going to play an excerpt of their conversation for you now. You can find their full conversation on Vermont Edition's podcast feed.
Your parents, as you write in the book, used corporal punishment. Your dad did. And it seems like you grew up in this time and place where kids, especially boys, were like just always beating up on each other. You were getting beat up. You beat up other people. Do you remember feeling afraid often as a kid? I didn't mean that as a funny question, but I'm glad it came off that way.
Well, you have to laugh.
Yeah.
I got to laugh at it. No, my entire childhood was fear. Fear was my childhood. I was in constant fear of being punched in the arm. My only escape was drawing. That was an escape for me. There was a sense of control. If you sit down and you're at a piece of paper and you're making up this world, you have complete control over that. And the rest of my life, I really didn't have that kind of control. Listen, it wasn't horrible. It was the 70s, That's just the way it was, It was in the drinking water.
I loved learning about those kind of two sides of you and your upbringing. The constant beating up and battling and arm punching. But then there was also this version of Harry that was staying up all night drawing your own feet in order to perfect the look of them, that's so I don't know, delicate and soft and artistic.
Yeah, well, I did have various epiphanies, and one of them was in Jesuit school, and I talk about that. I spent a year in Jesuit school in Rochester, and that was the first time I experienced, genuine empathy following that, I became less angry and more observant. So those things, certain experiences I had, they made me kinder.
You wrote in the book and recently on Instagram too about having a baby with your girlfriend when you were both very young and giving that child up for adoption and then reconnecting with her later in life and all the joy that has brought you. I was reading through some of those comments on Instagram just before we spoke and was just so struck by how time and again we see this on Vermont Edition all the time, how honesty begets honesty and how all these people were sharing their own stories with you from all their different experiences with adoption. I wonder what it was like to put that but to put that fact of your life out in the world and get those responses.
It's kind of beautiful. You know, I loved hearing all those responses, and I think that's one of the nice things about the nice aspects, I should say, about social media, because sometimes it
can suck.
It can suck and be a real problem. But again, it's all about having an intimacy with your audience. And before I wrote about that in the book, I spoke with my biological daughter, Valerie, and she's great. I mean, she reached out to me when she was 18, I think, and I had gotten an email in, I guess in 2002 or 3, I don't remember. But as soon as I got the email that said, it just read, "Did you give a baby girl up for adoption in 1986?" I knew that was her. I was Valerie. I knew it. Oh. And shortly thereafter, I went down to meet her mom and her aunt, and we had dinner together, and it was very emotional. And but again, it was really beautiful, and we've been close. And now I have a grandson, Sebastian, who's beautiful and hilarious, and she sends me videos of him, and I make little videos of this little sheep puppet. But it was a really difficult. Obviously, giving a baby up for adoption is extremely difficult, and I hadn't really revisited that much, and I still probably could do more revisiting of that, but I'll save that for a psychoanalyst.
All right, so this is the portion of our interview, Harry, where I'm going to help you land some product placement deals. Okay. I liked reading in your memoir how partial you are to moleskins, and you talk about your favorite fountain pens one point. I would love to hear a little bit more about your tools of the trade, and if there are any things like these Mont Blanc fountain pens that you can't live without.
Well, I'm here in the studio at WNYC, and I'm holding a Mont Blanc miser stuck with a solid gold nib on it.
Solid gold?
Yeah, it's a beautiful gold nib. It's probably a $1,500 pen that an old girlfriend gave me, who went on to really hate me. So I know she hates that she gave this pen to me.
Wow. Well, if anyone's looking to mug somebody today, we've got your guy.
There are, you can find great fountain pens on eBay. You want to make sure you get the right ink for your fountain pen. I do like moleskin. The paper's a little thin for me, to be honest. But I am pretty particular. That's a great question. I'm very particular about the graphite I use, the type of lead holders I use, the type of rapidographs.
The what?
It's a rapidograph pen. Come on, Michaela. Get with the program. And I like a real toothy paper, a Strathmore toothy sketchbook paper, acid-free paper. And sometimes I can't work when it's too humid. The air is too humid because the graphite doesn't adhere to the paper the way I like.
Huh.
Yeah, it's,
Well, it's good you're in New England for most of the year then.
Exactly. It's true. Yeah.
That was cartoonist Harry Bliss on Vermont Edition, speaking to host Michaela Lafrac. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Lexi Krupp, Nathaniel Wilson, and Mark Davis. Today's episode was edited by Liam Elder Connors, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Andrea Lorian. Thanks for listening.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.